Oh, god damn. I'm trying to get you to watch this video forever. Forever. Can you scoot your chair up for me, please?
Husband.
Wife. My wife, can you please scoot your chair up?
Yes, husband. I will scoot my chair up for you.
Thank you, wife. That's the obey part in the vows that we kind of took a little bit. Skitten wrote a whole 2-page of vows.
It was very heartfelt.
And they were very nice. Mine was pretty short, and I cut out a lot because I was going to cry. So probably should have just wrote it down and then just cried my way through it. But then everybody would have been crying the entire time and we wouldn't have gotten anything done, really.
It would have been great. I wanted people to cry.
I wanted people to not cry so they didn't ruin our photos. And they did a great job tearing up and getting emotional but not crying. And I think that's good. So everybody knows what we have is real. And, you know, I don't know, we're doing good, I think. So she's a wife now. And I'm going to make her play Mass Effect Andromeda.
He's a husband.
Please don't squeeze that, it hurts.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Husband.
So, Skitten loves the Mass Effect series. I have made her
up until the third one.
Up until the third one.
I haven't even finished the third one because fuck that shit.
And after the third one, they came out with Mass Effect Andromeda, which we were gonna just buy and play. You guys were there when we talked about it, and then we didn't get it on release, and everybody was like, "Man, it's terrible and weird, and the dubbing is really bad." And finally, there's a video to kind of explain why that happens. And so I've been waiting to get Skitten here to watch this shit because Mass Effect has been a part of the channel for a long time. There's actually this loot crate background that I use. That was when we have the Mass Effect loot crate for Mass Effect Andromeda, which is how much it means to us. You want to show them now that you're a wife? Now that you're a wife, they can't see it. This is why we're here. This is literally how much it means to us.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're round? All right, here we go. So this is the background of my computer screen. Look at that. Huh? That is how long we've been around Mass Effect. That's back in the old apartment, posing like a bad bitch. Look. In shape as fuck, too.
Oh my god.
Looking good as fuck, too. So that's how much Mass Effect means to us. You okay? You're so cute. You're so cute.
It's so embarrassing.
But we were so excited when we got that loot box from Mass Effect, yeah. And like nobody watched the video on the channel. Well, none of y'all niggas watch that shit.
Hey everybody, my name is Dan and this is New Frame Plus, a series about video game animation. So BioWare recently released their newest entry in the Mass Effect series, Andromeda. And there's been something of a fuss surrounding it as the game has, I think it's fair to say, some surprisingly noticeable animation issues, particularly during conversation sequences.
My father's dead. He made me his successor.
My father's dead. He made me his successor. Scoot your body to the right side of the thing.
I can't go anymore.
You don't need to go anymore. You just need to stay where you're at.
Alec is dead.
He's dead.
Naturally, this has incited a great deal of discussion, and BioWare seems to be taking steps to address these issues, but in watching this whole discussion play out, it's occurred to me that a lot of people don't really know how dialogue animation in a game like Mass Effect works.
How do you think it works? If you just had to guess how it would work, given that we don't know.
No, I don't fucking know. I never even thought about it.
Oh, really?
Or how these sorts of problems might happen. So this seems to me like an excellent opportunity to talk about how conversation systems work.
You can't be serious.
What's the matter? I think you're up for it.
Let's start with a broad question. How do you go about animating a game which has lots of scenes where the characters talk to each other? Well, for the best results, you would want to custom animate everything. Just like an animated film, every line of dialogue in every scene would either be animated by hand or performed in motion capture by an actor, ensuring completely unique, lovingly tailor-made performances throughout. And
That's Heavenly Sword.
Yeah.
Is indeed the approach that some studios take, the most extreme example probably being a studio like Naughty Dog. Through a combination of extensive performance capture and hand-keyed animation, that team custom animates not only every single cutscene, but a lot of performance moments that happen within gameplay.
So good. Love Uncharted.
It is a fucking masterpiece.
It's beautiful all the time.
Every
Yeah.
physical action, every facial expression, all the lip sync for every character speaking every line, it's an immense amount of work and they do an incredible job of it. But this approach isn't really feasible for most games, and it definitely isn't feasible for a BioWare game. See, Naughty Dog's approach works for them because a game like Uncharted is only 8 to 12 hours long and has
Right.
an almost entirely linear, predetermined story with a fairly small cast of characters.
And they still take forever to do it. Even though it's only 8 to 12 hours of stuff, it still takes forever for them to get the games done right.
No matter what happens in-game, those cutscenes are going to play out the same almost every time, meaning that the animation team really only has to tackle around 3 hours of cinematics and maybe 6 more hours worth of interactive gameplay story sequences.
Got it.
The reason they can animate every scene to such a high level of quality is specifically because they've kept such tight limitations on quantity. And make no mistake, authoring even that many hours of bespoke cutscene animation to that level of polish is a huge undertaking, requiring a bunch of highly skilled performers and a much larger
That's
than
dope.
average
That was a
animation team.
dope-ass cut
Meanwhile,
back.
BioWare is a studio known for RPGs, games with tens of thousands of lines of dialogue,
Yeah.
spoken by hundreds of different characters,
So
games
many.
in which the player can make choices that alter the course of conversations and impact the larger story. Where Naughty Dog has to handle maybe 8-ish hours of animated conversation, BioWare's team has to tackle something closer to 40 hours.
Jesus.
And they might custom animate a small number of particularly important cutscenes, the ones that most every player is likely to run into, but there is no way they could do that for every single permutation of those countless
They would never
conversation
finish the
scenes.
game.
So they need to find a different solution to the same problem. How
You dying, wife?
Sorry.
You dying?
I just need something to drink.
Besides this dick. I'll shoot your shot. That's what the fuck you get.
How do you
That is
animate
what
all
you
these
get.
dialogue scenes? That is where you need a conversation system. Let's pretend for a moment that we're talking about music.
Okay, we're pretending
Let's say
now.
that Naughty Dog and BioWare are composers who have each been given only 1 week to write the music for a film. Naughty Dog is tasked with scoring an 8-minute short film, and they score the heck out of it. Every musical moment is carefully crafted, every note placed with intent. BioWare, meanwhile, is assigned a 2.5-hour feature.
Jeez.
There is no way they can get this done in a week using Naughty Dog's approach. So instead, they build a huge library of reusable musical pieces.
Right.
Simple percussion loops, some string layers, brass layers, hundreds of simple musical elements. And they write these elements so that each piece works pretty well when layered with the others. Then BioWare starts placing those pieces, mixing and matching and layering them in different ways throughout the length of the movie. And they may not be able to make any one moment of the score work quite as well as they could if they were writing custom music specifically for those moments, but this way they are able to work much faster while more or less matching the tone and energy of any given sequence in the film. And because of this efficient workflow, they managed to score the entire 2.5-hour film in that single week. That is pretty much exactly how a conversation system works. BioWare's team builds a huge library of reusable animation pieces that are built to be layered together.
Oh,
Dozens of
okay.
character stances, hundreds of talking gestures and facial expressions and head nods and reactions. Then they use that library to build out their conversation scenes.
And this is from which game?
Mass Effect 2.
Mass Effect 2.
Wait, no. Is it Mass Effect 2?
Like,
No, it's
let's
Mass
see,
Effect 1.
so if the player initiates conversation
Ashley's
with
not
Ashley
Mass Effect
here, let's just have them both stay in standing conversation idle 1 for this chat. We'll have her start her first line with talking gesture 24.
I'm glad you're okay, Commander. The crew could use some good news after what happened to Jenkins.
Alright, that felt pretty good. Then if the player chooses the he'll be missed option, Shepard will do head nod 6 as he says his line.
Jenkins was a valuable part of this crew.
Alright, and in response, Ashley will do sad talk 3, followed by a small head nod 15.
Part of me feels guilty over what happened. If Jenkins was still alive, I might not be here.
Okay, now, if the player chooses you earned it, let's Well, let's just use head nod 6 again, but this time let's follow it by head nod 1 so it doesn't feel like he's doing the same gesture every time.
You're a good soldier, Williams. You belong on the Normandy.
That works. And for Ashley's response, let's keep it small and just have her do talking gesture 2.
Thanks, Commander. That means a lot from you.
But that library of reusable animations is only half the system.
Yeah.
Layered on top of those is a combination of procedural systems, which generate or modify animations on the fly. For example, lip sync. Animating mouths talking by hand is an extremely slow, tedious task, and utterly impossible to do for a game with tens of thousands of lines. So, the animators will build another big library of mouth shapes for every phoneme, every shape our mouth makes to form sounds for language. And they will implement a procedural system which analyzes the waveform of the dialogue audio to automatically generate lip sync animation.
Okay.
I thought you said he was a drunken loser.
Couldn't hurt to go talk to him. Just be careful. I wouldn't call him reliable.
They'll also implement a head and eye tracking system so that characters can automatically turn their head and look at whoever they're talking to.
Because, so basically what we have here, just a quick recap, is between Mass Effect 1 and 2, they've built those libraries and built those systems to work, and they work so well that still, me and Skitten love playing those games, and they feel so natural. Even though the game looks a little dated, it feels like it's aged really well.
Yeah.
But
can we just say that Shepard in the first game, the default Shepard, was hot?
Sure.
Can we both agree on that?
Sure.
Oh no, I want my.
I don't really know what he looks like. But between 3 and Andromeda, there definitely was a change in the game that we realized between like how the characters were written, how the animation was built to look, and how people were built to, interact with each other, that broke certain parts of the game. And me and Skitten had played. I played Mass Effect 1. I don't know if you finished Mass Effect 1.
I finished it before I played it on the channel.
Okay. And then Mass Effect 2 we both played through. I at least played it twice. You played it probably 10 times.
A lot.
Right? So when we went to 3, we could tell there was a big difference. We just didn't understand what had happened with it.
And then from 3 to Andromeda, it was another big shift.
I can't tell if they're trying to start over with a new system or if the system just didn't work. Right? So, but that's just kind of like where we're at right now. But that system worked perfectly for those 2 games.
Or at any specific point.
And also, talking about the other systems that need to work, kind of like on the fly he's talking about, like they need to run while you're playing the cutscene. In a game like the Naughty Dog game, Uncharted, or what's another game that's like Uncharted? Like The Last of Us 2, I think it's done like that too, where they act out the movement or whatever. When you play a cutscene, the cutscene plays. You're not in the game.
Right.
You play a cutscene, you hit a loading screen.
You can't affect it.
And and then things go on. But in Mass Effect, Skyrim, The Witcher, any games like, what was that?
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age. Hell yeah, Dragon Age. Not only can you still interact with it and change the scenes, you're still in the game. You haven't hit any loading screens or anything.
Exactly.
Like, the characters are just isolated and you're just getting different camera views in space. So that's why the system works different. The cutscene literally takes you out of the game and plays a video for you. And in these couple of games, the game is still running behind you as the game goes on. You know what I mean? So there's just little simple differences why those systems need to work every time. Because they haven't set it up yet. It hasn't happened yet until you actually play the scene.
Right.
Points of interest in the scene. They may also have an inverse kinematic system layered in there to make sure that character hands and feet contact uneven surfaces properly. And they'll probably have a bunch of other smaller automated things happening in there too, like eye blinks or maybe tiny eye darts to keep the character feeling alive. It's a really complex machine when you step back and look at it, an intricate combination of assembled pieces and procedural systems working together to hopefully create a good-looking, believably animated conversation. The results may not be quite as interesting to look at or have nearly as much character as any given Uncharted conversation, but it works pretty well, and it allows a moderately sized animation team to efficiently animate hundreds of conversations in a pretty reasonable amount of time. Now, BioWare has always been one of the forefront studios pioneering systems like this. Lengthy, branching conversations had been a regular feature of their games since the days of Baldur's Gate, but with Knights...
I would fucking hurt somebody if I had to play that. I can't read small text, even with my larger glasses that I've super glued together.
You look very handsome, husband.
Can you tell they've been super glued, wife?
If from this close, yes.
Okay.